In this tutorial, we're talking about the law of conservation of energy, which says that the total amount of energy always stays the same. However, this includes both mechanical and non-mechanical forms. So if we break this down, energy consists of two types. We have mechanical, which explains motion. So this consists of your potential and kinetic energies, all forms of both. We also have non-mechanical motion, which includes such types as heat, sound, light, nuclear, chemical, just to name a few. And so these do not explain why things move. To know how much heat was added to an object is not explaining why the object is moving up, down, left, or right, or anything like that. So when we're talking about conservation of energy, we're talking about conservation of all forms of energy. So when we come back here and we say that mechanical energy is conserved, that's just one part of energy. That only happens when there is no friction. However, conservation of all energy always happens even if there is friction. Let's look at this a little closer in terms of an example of a roller coaster. So we have a roller coaster that has a big hill to start and a small hill at the other end. And so let's say we start with a certain amount of potential energy. We'll just make up a number and we'll make it simple. We'll say it's 100 joules of potential energy to start. And it starts from rest. So we don't have any kinetic energy at all. And under ideal conditions, if there's no friction, when we get to the bottom of this hill, as the cart's moving, we have lost all of our potential energy. Well, where did that energy go? It went into kinetic. All 100 joules went into kinetic energy. And so that explains why the cart is moving. If it has kinetic energy, that's the energy of motion. It must have motion. As we get to the top of the second hill, we have lost a little bit of kinetic energy because we have gained potential. So let's say we've gained 60 joules of potential energy. That means that we have lost these 60 joules of kinetic and we're only left with 40. So the total is still 100. It is possible to have more than one type of energy at a time. Here we have potential because we're above the zero height, and we have kinetic because we are also moving. We have two forms. But their total must still add up to 100, must still add up to what we started with. So let's say this is under the understanding that there's no friction. What if there is friction? Well, what happens? How is it different? So if there is friction, we won't have 100 joules down at the bottom of the first hill. We might only have 80 joules. So what happened to that 20 joules? Remember, energy is still conserved. What happened to that 20? Well, total energy is still conserved under law of conservation of energy. So when there is friction, that energy goes into such non-mechanical forms as heat and also sound. Try rubbing your hands together and you'll notice that friction creates heat. So the moving parts rubbing together create some heat. And so that is going to be part of our total 100 joules. Also, you'll hear the sound. Again, as you rub your hands together, you hear the sound of that friction caused by that friction. Same thing as you have the roller coaster moving down the track, you will hear it when the wheels have friction against the track and friction within the parts of the coaster car itself. So that creates another source of energy that is lost. It's not really lost, it's just converted into non-mechanical forms. So the total is still 100. It just went into non-mechanical form. Same thing here now, as we get to the top of the next hill, we might only have 10 joules of energy. Well, what happened? We only have 70 total now. What happened to that remaining 30? Well, again, some of it goes into non-mechanical forms like heat and sound. I'm writing these as always the same value, heat and sound, but it could be anything. But the main idea here is that the energy that is no longer in mechanical forms, has gone into non-mechanical forms, but the total is still 100 at all